So thanks for being with us for this episode of Agent versus Lender. Today we have Ben Barber, Brett Sorensen, and Joe Black with us, who are local agents here. And we have some, we've talked a little bit, and we have some really good stuff for you guys today, this week. So I'm going to start off and let each of them introduce themselves. Just really briefly, just let us know who they are and where they are, where they're currently at, and an interesting tidbit about them, and then we'll get into some great content for that you guys will be able to use in your business. So let's just go ahead and start with Ben.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on here. I'm excited to be here with Brett and Joe and with you. Background on myself: I've been an agent locally for 5 years. I run a small team with my wife, and we have a couple different agents and transaction coordinator on our team, but for the most part, it's my wife and I that run our team, and we've kind of been doing that as a partnership for the last 5 years. It's worked out pretty well. In 2016, I was the Salt Lake Board of Realtors Rookie of the Year, one of the top 5 agents for Coldwell Banker. We built the top 5 team, large team with them the next year, and then since then we've transitioned. We kind of moved over to EXP, and we're starting to spread our message kind of a little more nationally now. And then prior to that, I was in REO. I was in the REO world for a long time, doing the bank-owned properties, working with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Chase, Bank United, Aurora, some of those, just in various roles, managing the eviction department as an operations manager and sales manager. So coming into the real estate world, I had sold 11,000 homes with the REO companies, valued over 30,000 homes. So when I came in, that was my niche, was really understanding the REO process, the bank-owned process, but also feeling very confident in how to value a property correctly for buyers and sellers. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Awesome. That's a lot in a short amount of time.
I was trying to condense it there.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Brett, go ahead. Let's hear about you.
Okay, appreciate you having me here. Brett Sorensen. I'm currently with Better Homes and Gardens in Kaysville. I've been a real estate agent since 2001. Most of my business has been down in Davis and Weber County, a little bit up in Cache Valley where I grew up. I'm not on a team, I'm individually, but I do have a transaction coordinator that helps me out on all my transactions. My previous life was in the mortgage business, where I was a servicing manager that serviced loans for Fannie, Freddie, Utah Housing, which give me a good idea of really what happens, with collections, foreclosures, the mortgage side of the business, which really helps out. So I know what's happening in that world as well, in the housing industry as well. I've done some new construction, also a little bit of development as well. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brett. Hey, Joe, take her away.
Yeah, thanks for the invite to be on your show. I'm Joe Black. I'm at Keller Williams, Salt Lake City. I've been an agent since 2016. My wife is a loan officer, and so that's what got me started when I bought my first duplex and saw the value in investing, and really loved doing the transactions, especially when I started helping family and friends. And I'm still an owner at Best Bet Carpet Cleaning. That's the company I started back in 2004, actually. They surprisingly go hand in hand very well, if you can imagine.
I'd imagine they would.
Yeah. Still figuring out how to transition from blue collar to white collar, I guess you could say. Looking for leveraging some help with the technician side of that business as well. So, yeah.
Man, I didn't know your wife was an LO. We should have just had her on here and just, we could have just, between you, her and I, we could have ganged up on you, but I'm sure she would have ganged up on me before she ganged up on you.
Maybe.
Well, cool. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your busy day. I know that at this time of year, it's always just crazy. I'm sure you guys are busy just like everybody else is. So you guys each mentioned a couple things. You're each obviously have different backgrounds, but similar backgrounds, surprisingly. Some of you are on a team, some of you are not. So I don't know. Let's talk about what's the advantage and disadvantage of being on the team, because everything has its advantages and disadvantages. So, so Ben, you kind of lead a team. So tell me why you like a team and how you got around to growing that.
I think that to any team members listening, I'll apologize up front, because a lot of times with the team, I think there's more cons than there are pros. It's a lot of time involvement, it's a lot of emotional involvement, and trying to teach somebody, especially if they're new, how to come in the business and how to fish and create a business for themselves and an identity, and then providing that QC without being so involved that you're doing the work for them, has been probably one of the biggest challenges. And then accounting for attrition, because once somebody does start getting momentum, we all have bigger eyes, it seems like, and we all want to make more money. And unfortunately, I've seen some people kind of break away from our team and then not have the same success because they didn't have that support environment. So I would say the biggest pro is a support environment. Like, it's nice to be able to give back and to coach and to help people establish themselves, because I know for myself, real estate has been such a blessing. So I like to be able to pass that on. But I think that's the biggest advantage, is that rather than going and seeking advice from online sources or trying to do your own study, you actually have an experienced person that you can go to, and they can lay out a plan based on your strengths and weaknesses. So every agent that's on my team, that's what we do. We sit down and we look at what they're good at, what they're not good at. And we find that a lot of people are now transitioning, where there's so much focus on technology and social media. Whereas back in the day, maybe somebody would focus exclusively on expireds, or they would do door knocks and they'd have a certain amount that they were going to do. My niche has always been the social media, and that I can generate leads without picking up the phone or without going and knocking on the door. But if an agent is not comfortable with that, that's kind of the challenge. But I think that's the benefit of the team, is being able to say, great, we don't have to structure your business the way that I have done it. If you're more of a people person, you want to be in front of people, let's now structure your business to tailor towards your needs. Because that's the thing I found over the years, is that there's this great saying from Tim Ferriss that basically says, an imperfect plan you follow is better than a perfect plan you don't. And I think so many of us get into the business and we have this perfect plan of what we're going to do, but it becomes so overwhelming to us that we just don't follow it. And so we try to set it up for agents to say, look, leverage my experience. If you need help with valuations for a while, I'll scrub your CMAs, I'll scrub your BPOs. That's fine. We have a transaction coordinator that will take care of the property once it's under contract. Let's focus on doing what is the most invaluable part of this, which is be a good agent. Know the industry, know the market, know homes, know your clients, serve. Like, if you can just go out and serve. And that's the one thing we teach is, we never store a new lead in our phones as a lead or a prospect. It's always a family I can help. So everybody goes into my phone as a Fitch. It's a family I can help. And that helps us as we're trying to dictate our day, and we're trying to structure a deal, is everything is approached with, this is a person and a family whose goals I've been charged to meet, and I'm going to serve them. And so as a team, that's the advantage, is that I can take all the experience and funnel it into one person. The con being that if they don't latch onto it, then my personal production goes down as I'm dedicating my time to people.
Sure.
I hope that answered that.
Oh man, that's amazing. I've worked both sides of the coin. I've been on teams, and I've been just an individual loan officer, and now I have a team that I run. And man, I tell you, there are pros and cons to every single situation, and I think Brett and Joe can probably attest to that. So, by the way, you guys, if you just have something to say, just jump in. You don't wait for me to call on each of you. So, either one of you, Joe or Brett, do you have anything to add?
I think for me, being an individual, obviously I don't have anybody else to worry about or to lead along. But with that said too, it's there's a lot of things that happen in a team. I think synergy that you get. You can feed off what their success is. And one I guess minus of being an individual is I don't have a lot of backup. I mean, we do have agents in our office that we'll talk to if I'm gone, that they will help me out. So we're really good about that here in my office, that if I need somebody, if I'm gone, they'll go do a showing for me, and those kind of things. Probably some of it for me as being an individual is when I was in the mortgage business and loan servicing, I managed a lot of people. And I kind of I was tired of it is what I was, and wanted to get in and just take care of myself. And I'm self-motivated too, which if you're not and you're trying to do it on your own, then it's going to be really hard to get into work. But
hang on a second.
Yeah.
That was a golden nugget. And not that Ben didn't have any, because they had so many of them. You just couldn't stop them. But that was really a golden nugget right there that a lot of people need to consider. If you're not like highly self-motivated, going out on your own is probably not the way to go, because there are so many, so many next shiny objects and so many squirrels that to follow, that if you aren't structured and if you're not highly motivated, it's really tough to be on your own. So just what you said makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not that kind of person, a team is probably.
It's kind of tough. I think there's three things. In fact, somebody in my office, and I'm sure it's been said all over, is you get up, you clean up, you show up, and I'll add one more thing to it: you answer your phone. And so those things you need to do. And you may come into the office as being an individual agent, and maybe you don't have anything going on, but you need to be here to be able to perform, because if you're not at work, you're not thinking about work,
right?
In my mind. So that's a couple of things that I thought of. So
awesome.
That's great.
I think Brett covered pretty much what I was going to say. I'm learned early on, being self-employed, I'm psychologically unemployable now, so I'm not going to be on a team myself. I'm happy with my own schedule. However, life is too short to reinvent the wheel. And if you can adapt another proven business model, and the accountability is worth its weight in gold. So.
Yeah, totally. You know what? You're right though. Reinventing the wheel, even if you're running a team, it's just like I'm running a team and I'm not doing anything differently. It's just like I have some coaches and I've told them the same thing. It's like, man, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Some of my coaches, they're in the business, and like one of them has a team that's closing 300 to 400 transactions a month. It's just like, I'm not anywhere close, but we do a pretty good business. And it's just like, I don't want to go out and reinvent. So I want to know what you're doing. What does that model look like? And so I can just follow that model. And I'm sure Ben can attest to that too. I'm sure he's not doing something as a team leader. I'm sure he's not doing something brand new. It's not like paving a new path, are you?
Yeah, with one thing I am. One thing,
that's awesome.
100% we are. But I agree with you. I agree with really what Joe and you and Brett have said. And I think one of the biggest things to find, if you're a new agent, I would really just caution everybody to be coachable. Like, I know what it's like to get in and to panic. Like when my wife and I got into it, we had $17,000 saved. And as our last penny was running out, we put our first deal under contract. So I know the panic. And I sat at my computer many times looking at my resume and saying, do I need to get this back out? Is this really going to work? And I found that that's one of the biggest frustrations as a team lead is when somebody comes to me. So, personal production is right around, it's between my wife and I, but we do about $15 million a year, just the two of us. So when somebody comes to us and they sit down, they say, great, I want those results you have. And we lay a plan out for them. We see the biggest tripping point for everybody is they don't have the patience to execute on that plan. So even like we'll roll something out and we'll say, look, here's your strategy. Here's what you should be doing. Here's where you should be focusing your time and your energy. And then they'll come back to me the next day and say, hey, I just bought these random leads because somebody called me on the phone. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. But does that fit with the model that you put forward for yourself? Right. And so we're chasing that dollar. And if they don't have the ability to settle in and truly embrace and follow a mentor, then there's no value in having the mentor. I think you can pick up good nuggets, but for me, it's that if you're not going to sit down and follow a path that somebody's outlined, then you just completely negate that value, because I can't speak to everything. I'm not a door knocker. I can't tell somebody how to door knock. So if we've set up a plan and it involves door knocking, the advantage I think too, and I think we all feel this, is the more you're in the industry, the more contacts you have. So I'm very fortunate that one of my partners, I have an REO online training program, and one of my partners is one of the top real estate agents in the country. Well, I have access to him. So if it ever came down to door knocks and I don't know what they are, I have access to him, and I have access to a pair of professionals that do speak specifically to door knocking, and they've gone out and they've recorded them. So now I can tell somebody, hey, look, my friend Jeremy Smith in Fort Worth does about $500,000 a year gross commission income, primarily from door knocking from open houses. So somebody can go follow him.
Are you kidding me? I would have never thought that somebody could do that kind of transaction through door knocking.
Well, and that's the thing is, so it's like this new world where it used to be the door knocking doesn't work if you're trying to approach somebody with, it doesn't work. It does work. But if you go up and you knock on the door, someone's standoffish. But if you're doing an open house and you approach it as a courtesy and you're like, hey, just letting you know I'm doing an open house this weekend, you're going to see some cars you may not recognize. Know that they're not here to stalk your neighbors. They're here to this open house. Is it okay if I put a sign in your yard? Nobody asks if they can put a sign in their yard. So when you're asking a seller, do you mind if I put a directional sign in your yard? It creates this respect, and it puts their wall down. And then Jeremy's big thing is he goes in, he says, hey, some people are asking how this impacts neighborhood value. I'd be happy to share that information with you once we go under contract. Would you like me to do a valuation on your home? And he picks up 2 or 3 sales in an area everywhere he has a listing in an open house. So wow. It's just a different approach, but I would have never known that if I didn't have some of these other connections. So that's, following my mentors and my group. But I would say if you're new, just like one thing I noticed that Joe has the bold thing in his back. So from Keller Williams Bold, and he's most likely followed the path they've laid out during that training to say, if you're a new agent, do A, B, C, and D. And if we can kind of let go of ego and just follow that path, we'll be successful. I think that's the challenge is most people we want it so fast. We want it right now that we don't have the time to put into 6 to 9 months to see if a program actually works or to see if a marketing strategy works. So just got to be a little more patient.
So you had mentioned new agents and some things that they can do. And so Brett and Joe, if you had to start over again and you were new and you didn't have, because a lot of times we'll work our past database or do things like that. So what is it that you would do? What is one of the first 1 or 2 things that you would do to generate business as a new agent?
First of all, I start over every day. Even the top agent that ever was, there's another level. Maybe it's not finances anymore. Maybe now it's more about family or time spent. And so first big breakthrough I had is when I learned how to get out of my own way. Calling clients was kind of terrifying at first. I thought I'd be bugging them or salesy. That's not the truth. They're always happy to hear from you. Just come from a way of coming from contribution, like what Ben said about knocking on doors of sharing value. There's definitely using your emotional intelligence when they answer them, not be salesy or pushy, and just say hello. Take your contacts, break it down into how many people you would have to call on a business day if you don't want to work weekends to call them once a quarter. It's that simple.
That it's really the simple things. It's not those big giant things that set people apart. Almost always it's just the consistent simple things that we always forget. So
yeah, I agree with Joe. I mean, for me, if I had to start over, I would have to get out of my comfort zone too. I mean, I always like to deal with people that I know, or they know me, or they referred them to me, which there's already a relationship there, but that doesn't get you to where you want to be if you want to be successful. So I think what I would do is kind of Joe mentioned is I would put a structure together. This is how many calls I need to do. I need to door knock. I need to cold call. I don't know who said it, but every no, you're closer to a yes. You've just got to call so many times and you're going to get a yes from somebody. So I think I would jump into that more. I'd like to be a little bit more versed on social media, maybe on video, those kind of things. I mean, that's all the buzzword now, but I think it's real, and I'm sure Ben can attest to that. But that's some of the things I think I would do is just get out of your comfort zone and go for it. So
Growth happens outside of comfort.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback. It's funny you mentioned that because I think that's where we're a little bit different in that, like, I'm a heavily tattooed guy. I don't wear long sleeves when I go out, even though it's a very conservative market.
I noticed that when you had your show your sleeve, man. That's you are
the whole, and like my whole back's done. And I don't, like, I still always wear a polo, but when we first started out, we bought Realtor.com leads, and my wife and I closed right around $10 million in Realtor.com leads. And I was going out and I found that I was actually losing more people that showed up that had tattoos than very conservative people that did not. And it almost set up like when I went to go show them, they immediately had this, not disdain, but they just were like, okay, who's this guy that just showed up? And if I can, like, I've never sat down, like, it's fun to go and talk about awards here. I've never told a prospect my awards or my history. It's always explained during the showing process of the house, when you can point out things about the house or that about the market, or if you can tell them the average price per square foot in this area, or how much it will cost to replace this counter, or like that experience comes out during the conversation. And that's been a huge advantage. But the other thing too is I never call my sphere really ever, unless I actually need something. And so to Brett's point, yeah, social media has been a huge advantage in staying in touch with our past clients, because I am tagging them on things, and I am sending them stuff that even after, like, I know Chris and Madison were always looking for a home with this big theater. So every time I'm out showing a home and I see this big theater, I snap a picture of it and I text it over to them like, dude, you're going to love this theater. But it's never a call to say, do I want, do you know somebody looking to buy or sell? And that's been actually really beneficial. And then we do, I don't know if you guys know Boomerang, but that's probably the one thing we use, Boomerang. And I'm surprised at how many listings we get. And our most recent postcard is hanging up on the fridge. Like, it's a great way to give value that they're actually using it as a coupon, buy one, get one free, whatever the promotion is. And then your name's with us. So we found that that's our past client follow-up, is really just having that, but then tagging people on social media. But I did want to say, for one thing, that if you're looking at like the new agents, this is one thing we coach people with, is we talked about leverage and leveraging the experience of your team, but you also don't have to have a team. So I know, like, with especially Keller Williams and Better Homes, these are big brokerages that a new agent can then go in and leverage. Anybody in their office or anybody with that company, they can leverage their listings. And now they can go tour those homes, right? And if I'm a Keller Williams agent, I can go on social media touring a home and say, hey, another great Keller Williams listing here at this address. And then on social media, it looks like I've got all this business because I'm constantly posting videos from this house that I'm at, or I'm going to Joe and I'm saying, hey, do you have an open house? Do you have a property you're listing? Can I just go sit on that every day and do an open house if it's vacant? And now I've got a property to market. But we found the biggest things we transition people to when they're brand new agents and they're trying to transition from one market to another is to really don't come and say, I want to sell you a house. But if you're talking to your group or your sphere and you're like, hey, I'm brand new, I need to make sure I get my valuations done. I know how important that is. I ran a valuation on your house. You mind if I come just show you what I put together and you can give me feedback? So now you're doing a valuation. Now you're sitting in front of somebody and they're just giving you feedback, and you're also sharing with them what the value of the home is. Or, hey, I just perfected my listing presentation. Can I come over and just give it to you guys, and you guys just listen to me and give me feedback? So now you're practicing, you're getting over that call reluctance, because you're not asking them for anything they can't do. Anybody can give you their time, right? Especially if they know you. And so that's what we have people do. And we don't ever go up and tell somebody, yeah, I'm in real estate now, but we find ways to bring it up in conversations. Any kind of time you're at a family dinner, you're like, oh, I was thinking about you the other day. I was showing this home in Morgan. They had a great garage. It was just like your garage. And so you're constantly showing people you're in the business without saying, like, wearing this big sign, I'm in the business. So those are more of we call those our consultative type approaches, where it's very soft. It's very easy. It's very easy to get a yes, because you need those yeses to steamroll.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that you're tagging people on social media. I don't know that I would recommend never calling your past database, but if that works for you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I had my coach tell me, because I told him that I didn't call my past database. He goes, Ron, people that don't call their past database just doesn't like money. And I started to laugh and went, what do you mean? And he says, dude, man, just think about if you have, if your past database, I think Realtor, the NAR says that people will move every 5 to 7 years. I don't know, maybe it's a little longer now. Maybe it's 10. So let's say it's 10 years. And you have 300 people in your past database and 10% of them are moving. What's that? 30 opportunities that you have that you may or may not, if you're not keeping in touch with them. So, so to your credit though, Ben, is that even though you're not calling them, you are, because you are tagging them in Facebook, you are still keeping in touch with them. And that says a lot for you, because it's really hard to keep to keep in touch with that past database. Although it's hard for somebody that's new in the business to do that, because now I think it's just back to an SOI, wouldn't it be? Because they don't have that past database.
Yeah. I think, well, I also think the problem, so we're all in Utah, and we know Utah's the MLM capital of the world. And we've all had friends and family that have called us for an opportunity to jump in. And so I think that's where, I know for me, that's where the call reluctance came from, is that until I had really figured it out, I didn't want to go that route. Plus I also ran into some uncomfortable situations. Like we said, the majority of people know agents, and I didn't want to ever create an environment where someone felt like they had to choose between me and somebody else and then ruin that relationship. So when my wife and I started doing this, we said, we're going to find a way to just generate business. And if people want to work with us, fantastic. If they don't want to work with us, that's fine too. As long as they're being taken care of, I don't care. And so we were able to do that and really create good marketing that brought people to us. There was a study they'd done in California where this group went out and they actually created a fake agent, and they put their name on buses and billboards, and they put them on benches. And then they called the neighborhood and they said, hey, if you were going to list right now, who would you list with? And 57% of people they called said this fake agent, because it was top of mind stuff. And that's when we realized, it's like, yeah, you may have all these relationships, but if somebody, and so that's why I hit them on social media, where I can actually target a demographic that is getting ready to move, and I can keep sending my message to them. And using things like, there's technology like CoSchedule. If you guys don't know CoSchedule, it's a way to it's a marketing calendar. So I can set up all my social media marketing for an entire week ahead of time. I can do it on a Sunday. And then it just keeps popping through my LinkedIn, through Instagram, through Facebook, through Twitter, everything at the right times throughout the week.
I want to write that down.
What is it called? CoSchedule is amazing.
CoSchedule?
CoSchedule, yeah.
Is it like G-O or C-O?
No, C-O, schedule.
Okay. I think I have a marketing girl that does a lot of this stuff for me, but I might have her check that out.
Yeah, well, and I know that especially for Brett and Joe, where you guys are single agents, you've probably had times where you're out in the field and you think, man, I should be posting on social, or I need to take this picture, I need to do this. And that's what CoSchedule eliminates, is that it allows you to sit down and say, okay, if I'm going to do my 5 touches, so they always say, like, we've all heard the Ford: family, occupation, recreation, and dream is what we should be talking with people about, right? Well, I can set that up on a social media thing now, and I can say, okay, I took all these pictures from the weekend, so now I'm going to say Monday, here's my family one, Tuesday, here's my family one. And then the system determines when the best time is to send that out based on all the rest of my content. But for Instagram, that's the only one that doesn't automatically post. As long as you have a CoSchedule app, when it's time to post to Instagram, you actually get a push notification that says, go to Instagram now. You can go in there, you can hit it, it's already saved your photo, it's already saved your text, and you can share it to either one or all the Instagram accounts you have. So we have, like, I have my personal one, I have Barber Group Realty, I have Utah Rent for Own, and like homes in Davis County, and like all these different ones. You can post on all those just with that technology. So that's a huge one. And even if you don't use CoSchedule, if anybody's familiar with Zapier, you can set up, it's called Zaps. So you can set something up that says, every time I post to Instagram, now go post to these Facebook pages as well. So if all you're doing is your Instagram posts in the field, it's still going to get your other social media outlets by just setting up these Zaps. So there's a lot of good technology you can leverage that, for me, fortunately, just keeps me off the phone. And that's why I do it. It's like this, I figured if I don't want to sit down and make calls, how can I still do it? And that was the solution, was just hit them on social media.
That's good.
So did you guys, did each of you had a chance to, I'm sorry, I lost track. Did you?
I'm sorry, that's a lot. Yeah.
That's okay.
Go check out CoSchedule. Great videos. Zapier's great.
That was great stuff. I mean, I just learned a couple new things too.
Yeah.
So, I love that.
Yeah, the zaps are really cool. Zapier was set up as basically a way to kind of shorten the gap between, all right, if I'm running, so I run a ton of Facebook lead ads. And then if I want to know where those come in, I store most of my stuff on Google Drive. Well, there's no way for Facebook to interact with my Google Drive account. So a company, Zapier, is set up so you can set up a program that says, if a lead comes in from my Facebook account, now go add that to my Google Drive sheet. So it comes over, it adds it over there, and then we can just go pull up that Google Drive sheet to see all the new leads instead of having to log into Facebook and go through the back end. So there's really cool technology, but it also can be like a rabbit hole, like you're saying. It gets very confusing. I mapped out one day how many different little apps we had working together, and it was like 20 of them. They're just these little small things that are, it can get a little overwhelming sometimes for sure.
Yeah, we use the same thing. You use Zap, we use Twilio. I mean, there's lots of different little things that make our system work together. So but you're right, it's a rabbit hole. But so for you new agents that are listening, just disregard a lot of that, because that gets really difficult, and it's really time consuming to set up. It saves you a ton of time in the long run, but that's probably not what you want to do. So if you're like Ben or Brett or Joe that already have a business, these are really time saving things, but don't do that. That's to start off with, because it's just it's really cool technology, but not for the new agent. So so we had talked about beforehand a little bit about maybe some things that set you apart. What are Joe and Brett and Ben? What are some of those things that set you apart from other agents? And this may help other agents as well to say, oh, I didn't think about that's what sets me apart. So what is it that sets you apart from somebody else?
I can't say enough to come from contribution. In fact, one of the last listings I had was because I had a listing in a cul-de-sac and looked over and saw somebody cleaning out a garage. They had a big pile of trash. I pulled up in my truck and just started loading it. Like, I had a few things I could go to the dump for too, and ended up listing their house like the next day. It was pretty cool actually. But the contribution thing, I like what Ben said. You want them to do business with you. If they don't, oh well. Don't ever get mad about it. You never know why they might want to use somebody instead of you. If they know you, then if you get mad about it, then they might not refer to you either, which they were probably going to. People will have their reasons, and honestly, just look to yourself for that responsibility. You obviously didn't have their mind share enough. So whether you're doing phone calls or social media, it's about owning the mind share in your SOI. So just the constant touching, like the social sharing, an email, a postcard, a quarterly phone call, and then just come from contribution with it. I can't say enough. Just be real.
We had talked a little bit before the podcast, and that speaks right into something we said earlier, is that everybody knows an agent. Everybody knows a lender. In fact, they know probably a lot. Yeah. So I've had family members that hasn't used me for financing because either they have a family member or they built a new home and they had a preferred lender that's giving them a $10,000 incentive. It's just like, dude, man, go do that. I can't compete with that. And so you're right, though. You can't get upset about it. And earlier in my current career, I would kind of get like, hold on to that. And now it's just like, I just realize everybody knows somebody, and it's nothing personal. It's just like, that's just happened who is in there, in front of them right then. So just like Ben was mentioning that, that fake agent, it's just like, who's there? Mm-hmm. And if you're there, then they will more likely use you. But that doesn't mean they're going to use somebody else. And just don't hold on to it, because I've had people that have used somebody else and they've still referred other people to me. So you're right, Joe. That's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Ben. I like what Joe said. I think I try to be a source of information. and I never shy away, whether I'm going to get their business or not, it's okay. But if they've got a question for me, I'm going to answer it, and give them, what I know, my knowledge about it. I've helped several people that, they maybe don't have the money to sell their house or to pay a commission, but I help them, give them the information they need so they can sell it. And I don't feel bad about it, because I know at some point, just like Ben and Joe said, and you too, Ron, it's going to come back to you. I mean, they're going to tell somebody about it. Says, hey, you should probably use Brett. I mean, he's good, and so I think that just be a source of information for people that have got questions, and use your expertise. So,
Yeah, I like that. If I could just add on to that, because I like that. I love what you guys are saying there. I also think, to Joe's point, you don't want to sour that relationship, because for all of us that have been in it and continue to stay in it, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and we're not trying to make easy money up front. We're trying to do this long term.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but there are a lot of bad agents. There's a lot of bad brokers out there. There's a lot of bad loan officers that drop the ball, that don't communicate correctly, that leave a bad experience for people. And sometimes that's even more powerful, because if we go see a movie we like, we may tell one or two people. If we see a movie we don't like, we tell on average 10 people we don't like this movie. So if someone goes out and doesn't use me and has a bad experience, then they're telling people about that bad experience. Then they're leveraging me when they come back, because, like one of the biggest ones I find is that most agents don't use a home sale contingency. And I'm amazed at how many people come to an open house, or that we run into with leads, and they're like, yeah, I've got to find a new house. Mine closes in 2 weeks. I'm like, how do you not have a home sale contingency to protect you? Because most people aren't using these tools. They don't understand this. And so it leads into conversations to say, here's how I would have protected you. And then they're going to go spread your message, because they're going to be frustrated when they're getting temporary housing because their agent didn't plan ahead for them. And then you've just given them the solution they wish they would have known about. So I think I don't want to put words for Joe, but I agree with him 100%. I don't burn a bridge over not getting this deal today, because I'm looking at doing this long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Man, you guys, I think there's some other things we could discuss here, but we're getting close to time here. So, we really seriously could go on a complete another episode, but we're gonna kind of wrap this one up. So let's talk about just at this end. Just tell us how people can reach each of you. Any one of you.
Yeah. You can get me on Facebook. Barber Group Realty is my team. You can get us on there. You can find me on the GSD Mode podcast. You can on this podcast. Any social media outlet or LinkedIn, just Benjamin Barber.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm same way on Facebook or website at SorensenUtahRealEstate.com. LinkedIn, definitely can reach me there, or you can call me on my phone too. My phone's everywhere. So.
I love it.
No kidding.
I'm definitely on Facebook as well. Website is superutahrealtor.com. I am definitely better with the phone or emails though. Joe Black at kw.com, or my cell's everywhere as well.
Awesome. Well, appreciate each of you taking some time out of your day to impart some of your wisdom. If you want to get hold of me or Taylor is not on the podcast today, but our phone number is 801-628-7667. You can find us at thepippinteam.com, and our podcast is agentversuslender.com. So appreciate you guys. Take your time, and we will catch you again on another podcast episode. Oh, by the way, please go and leave us some reviews wherever you're living, wherever you're listening to this, or whether you're on YouTube or on whichever venue you're listening at. We love to hear your reviews, and we're going to start reading those reviews at the beginning of podcast episodes. So hopefully we can read yours. So we'll call out a day, and thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.